Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor Live. This is our live show on SIFTD.net. We hope you're a Patreon patron. If you are, thank you so much. You're getting this pretty close to real live time. If you are a YouTube subscriber, same thing. You're getting it pretty close to real time. And if you are cool enough to follow the instructions in the show description below and link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, we're getting paid. It costs you nothing. You're sticking it to Amazon. Do it. You've already paid for it, and you're getting it pretty close to live. If you did none of those things because you don't have Prime or you just can't figure it out, you don't have any money, you don't want to spend it on me, I get it. You're getting this a little bit later on YouTube. It's on delay, so it won't be quite so live. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. What does that mean for Game Pass? What's it mean for Microsoft? Is it a good deal? Did they end up doing the right thing, spending $70+ billion on Activision? Billion. Answer is, I think it's pretty good. And I think what's really fascinating is we have to kind of base our opinion on some cryptic comments, and I'd say enthusiastic but cryptic. Enthusiastic, Satya Nadella said that it set records for like day one players, and that the Game Pass subscription numbers were at an all-time high. We don't know what that means, because it's entirely possible that it's entirely possible that Game Pass flattened out at 34 million, which is the last time they gave the number, and never quite declined. And so maybe it went up by one. One person subscribed and they hit a new record. Realistically, I think Game Pass probably slipped back from what they had last revealed as 34 million subscribers, which includes Xbox Live Gold people. But that's the number they're measuring. Probably slipped back by 1 or 2 million, and they probably did pick up 1 or 2 million subscribers because of this. It's hard to know. They're never going to reveal it. If they ever give out a Game Pass number, we'll be able to tell. But I'd say 1 or 2 million is probably right. The number, peak number of players, the real reason for that is it's free on Game Pass. So some big portion of that 34 million are getting access to the game day one. And I would guess that's around 25 million. Not everybody pays the $20 a month. Regardless, I do think the higher price is scaring off new members. And I think that by setting a new record for Game Pass subscribers, clearly adding Call of Duty to the day one access brought some number of people back that set a new record. So my guess is they lost 1 or 2 million when they raised price. They picked up 1 or 2 million when they got Call of Duty on the console. But again, the peak number of players, record number of players, that's not a big deal, because as I said, I think about 25 million people pay for the $20 a month subscription. And Call of Duty sells about 25 million a year. And so, how many of the 25 million existing $20 subscribers for Game Pass were already Call of Duty purchasers? No chance, all of them. Probably, 6, 7, 8 million. And so there were probably 15 or 17 million people who don't buy Call of Duty. And why not try it? It's free. So I frankly think that number, I said it's cryptic, but it doesn't mean much except to reinforce that Microsoft got real value out of purchasing Activision, because putting that game onto the subscription service reinforces to the people already paying $20 that it's worth it. And if you're a Call of Duty purchaser, of course it's worth it because you save $70. If you're not a Call of Duty purchaser, of course it's worth it because you get free access to something you otherwise wouldn't buy. So, I see it as having tremendous value. Now, the interesting trade-off there is, does Call of Duty drive enough new subscribers or limit churn of existing subscribers? So in other words, does it keep people spending $20, whether they're old subscribers or new, enough to offset the lost sales of the game? I remember I said no more than 7 or 8 million of the 25 purchased Call of Duty. When you think about the 25 million units a year, they've sold more in some years, but 25 is a good average for the last 10 years. If you think about the 25 million units sold, it's probably something like 7 million maybe on Xbox, probably 13 million on PlayStation and 5 on PC. Maybe it's 8, 14, and 3, but something in that neighborhood. So when you think about the number of Xbox purchasers, to the extent that any of those 7 or 8 million Xbox purchasers were already Game Pass subscribers, they're not buying Call of Duty. I would say at least half of them are probably Game Pass subscribers. That's probably the core that is Game Pass subscriber. And so I would say that Call of Duty sees its sales dip by 3 or 4 million this year as a result of adding it to Game Pass. So what's the trade-off? If you get somebody to pay $20 a month, that's $200 a year. And you think about that, and let's not go any further. You lose 70 and you pick up 200. That's a good deal. The trade-off is about 1 out of 3. So for every 3 people who don't buy the game, you need to add 1 new subscriber. And so I think that's right. If you lose 3 or 4 million units sold, you need to add 1 million subscribers to Game Pass to make up for it. And I think that's probably likely. More likely, I think you add 2, 3, or 4 million people to Game Pass. Not all at once. It probably will happen over time. Probably be 2 million this year, 4 million next year, 6 million the next year. But that's Microsoft's plan. Now, when I said cryptic, Microsoft's not going to give you these numbers. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. And something I think that's really interesting, and I apologize right now, I apologize in advance for giving you some data that's really confusing, but game companies don't typically talk about revenue. They report revenue, but they talk about something called bookings. And bookings is cash receipts. So you go look at Roblox, you go look at Zynga, you go look at Take-Two, EA, they talk bookings. There's always this giant deferred revenue number for Roblox. It's like 300 million a quarter or something. Crazy number. But guess what? Microsoft is not a gaming company. They're an enterprise software cloud company. So Microsoft, with its hundreds of billions of revenue, reports revenue. And the gaming division, even though all its peers, all its competitors report bookings, cash, the gaming division of Microsoft reports revenue. So they don't break it out. The gaming companies break it out because it's their only business. And so they're trying to explain to investors, we really did get this cash. Microsoft won't do that. Now, for a gaming company, if they didn't report bookings, I could figure it out. Doesn't matter, because I see a line item called free cash flow, operating cash flow. I can see the cash that comes in, period, on a gaming company, because that's all they do. And you take the difference between the cash and the revenue, and that's the deferred piece. I can figure it out. But with Netflix, for example, I did that for years. They reported big profits and negative cash because they were not recording their revenue correctly. With Microsoft, I can't tell, because Microsoft, they're probably a $20 billion gaming division out of a $100 billion, $200 billion, $300 billion revenue company. There's no way I can track it. So no one's going to know when they report how many copies of Call of Duty they sold. You will not be able to figure it out. I promise you. If they tell you how many Game Pass subscribers they have, if that number goes from 34 to 50, right? I'll say, okay, of the 16 million increase, 12 million of them are paying $20 a month. I just gave you the math. You need 1 million for every 3 million who don't buy the game. If they add 12 million, they win. They're doing better. So my guess is that's what's going to happen. It's not going to happen in a year. It'll take 2 or 3, but it's going to happen. So I think Microsoft absolutely did the right thing here. I think they made a good purchase. I think they're going to be very happy with the performance of Call of Duty. I think they're probably less enamored of the Blizzard stuff, and not because it's bad, but because it comes so infrequently. Call of Duty is an annual franchise, as you know, and the Blizzard stuff, I mean, when was the last StarCraft game? It takes forever. Diablo, I think, was 12 years between installments, something like that. Warcraft has been 20 years, like 30 years. I don't think we saw a Warcraft game since the 90s. So, it takes a long time for Blizzard content. They do have some recurring revenue, so I'm sure that, bookings. Diablo Immortal, they're very happy with, but, they cancel projects. There've been layoffs over there. So, lots of noise going on. You're not going to figure it out. So, answer to the question, is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 a good thing for Microsoft? Yes. Now, is this one different from future ones? Maybe. Probably having nothing whatsoever to do with Microsoft. This game got an 85 Metacritic score. And, if you remember back in the Vince Zampella days when Infinity Ward was considered the good Call of Duty developer, they used to routinely get high 80s, low 90s. But my God, Call of Duty scores have slipped into the 70s. And I think last year's Modern Warfare was like 75 or 76. This game got an 85, which is really good. And in fairness, there's been, ratings decline on sequels because reviewers just don't like sequels. They're looking for something new. So you'll watch a game like Madden Football, ratings drop every year. FIFA, it's not called that anymore, ratings drop every year. But Call of Duty, we've seen it, ratings drop every year. So popping back to 85, that's pretty darn good. Like, I think that, if they got their mojo back and we see that out of future Call of Duties, I think that they will absolutely grow Game Pass. If Call of Duty reverts back to getting, mid 70s, high 70s, fewer people are going to join Game Pass just to play that one game. So it was really good fortune for Microsoft that they closed the deal, ahead of the best Call of Duty we've seen in the last few years. And that, that's really good. You can join Game Pass, play Call of Duty for 1 month and cancel, and then you got Call of Duty for $20. That's the best deal of all. Microsoft has to prove to its Game Pass subscribers that they offer value and you're getting something for that $20. And so, if you play other games, absolutely you're paying $240 a year, for Call of Duty, and other games. And it's not worth it unless you get $100+ worth of value from all the other games. I think, they probably are going to find that they have to give you in-app purchase money. I mean, if they were really smart, they would say every hour that you play Call of Duty multiplayer, you can get $1 or a quarter or 10 cents or whatever of in-game currency so you can buy stuff. And I think that would make it immensely appealing. So, you don't have to give people the full value of their subscription, but if you give them some value and keep them hooked and make them feel they're getting a return on their $20 investment, then I think that justifies it. So again, I would play Call of Duty, and this will happen, if they ever have a sports title like a EA Sports Football Club. If you were getting cash that you could spend in Ultimate Team, you'd absolutely do it. If you were getting cash you could spend in Fortnite, you would do it. So they can do stuff with the subscription to give you, giveaways for any kind of game with in-app purchase, and you might see a stickier experience. I expect that they will do something like that. I just can't tell you what form it will take. I mean, it would be really great if there was such a thing as a universal wallet and you earn cash in Call of Duty and then you could spend it in Fortnite. Like, that'd be great. So there might actually be something like that. Microsoft is the company that could probably pull this off because they have a subscription revenue stream. You're already spending $20. Why not give the player $10 a month of in-game currency? Who cares? If he spends it, then that'll train him to spend it on other stuff and he'll try other games. And it's stickier, and he keeps paying his $20 a month. And if you're giving them, virtual items that Microsoft can buy for the cheap from the developer, it's a great deal for everybody. So I frankly think that's how you keep them. But somebody could join for 1 month, play Call of Duty, not buy it, and then cancel out. The fact is that people who want to play it, want zombies and multiplayer and all that, better deal to buy it for $70 than to pay $240 if that's the only game you play. You're not going to get very many people who the only game they play is Call of Duty who stop buying it and join Game Pass. That guy doesn't exist. You are going to get people who like to play a lot of different games. So, even the crappy games on the system, like, Redfall or whatever, like, they're fine. It's still free, and Dishonored will still be free. Like, if you get all that stuff, why not try it? And I think we all kind of try different games and find stuff that we like. You're going to find a lot of content that you like. Same idea as Netflix. You go on there because you want to watch the Stranger Things hot new show, but you end up watching Emily in Paris because there it is, it's on. Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor Live on SIFTD.net. If you are a Patreon patron, we very much appreciate it. You're getting this close to real time. If you are a YouTube subscriber or you are linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, you're getting this pretty much real time. The last one, Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime, linking the accounts costs you nothing. You are sticking it to Amazon. You paid them already for Prime. They're paying us. So if you can remember, please click on the instructions below on how to do it. Click on the show description, and we have instructions below. And get it linked, and we get paid, and it costs you nothing. Thank you, fellow babies, for joining us. I will see you next time.